In Calcutta, religious traditions do not appear as a uniform whole. They belong to a city shaped by trade, colonial administration, migration, and popular devotions. St. Paul's Cathedral first recalls this particular history. Consecrated in 1847, it was one of the major Anglican landmarks of Calcutta, then an important capital of British India. Its neo-Gothic architecture transposes into the Bengali climate, a language that came from Europe. Slender arches, verticality, an ordered facade, and restrained monumentality. But this Christian presence does not define the city as a whole. Around it, Calcutta preserves other forms of faith: Hindu temples, Muslim communities, modern spiritual movements, rituals linked to divine images, and urban festivals. The religious city is thus revealed through successive layers between colonial heritage, everyday practices, and traditions that remain alive. Belur Math is the headquarters of the monastic order founded by Swami Vivekananda, a disciple of Ramakrishna, one of the great Bengali spiritual figures of the 19th century. The movement that grew around Ramakrishna is not based on exclusive devotion to one particular deity. It rather defends a central idea. The great religious traditions can be understood as different paths toward the same spiritual reality. This vision gave rise to the Ramakrishna mission, which combines meditation, education, social action, and service to the poorest. Belur Math is therefore not only a Hindu monastery, it is also the symbol of a reformed, modern Hinduism, open to dialogue with other religions. This philosophy is reflected in the architecture of the main shrine. The domes, pavilions, and ornaments recall Hindu temples, while the great central arch evokes Indo-Islamic architecture. Inside, the broad prayer hall leading toward the sanctuary also suggests a continuous sacred space, closer in spirit to a church. The building thus becomes an architectural expression of the spiritual unity promoted by the movement. In Calcutta, Kumartuli Park does not at first appear as a sacred place. At the entrance, a figure of Spider-Man seems almost out of place above the workshops, like a popular wink in a neighborhood where imagination takes shape in the open air. But very quickly, the atmosphere changes. Behind modest facades, narrow lanes shelter one of the city's great artisan centers. Here, sculptors have been shaping for generations the images made for religious festivals, especially those of Durga Puja, Bengal's greatest celebration. The work begins with simple materials: wood, straw, bamboo, and clay. Little by little, bodies appear, then gestures, faces, and finally gazes. The divinities are born in the dust of the workshops, among tools, tarpaulins, pending commissions, and gestures repeated with almost ritual precision. And yet these works are ephemeral. Created to be worshipped for a few days, they will then be carried in procession and immersed in the river. The clay statues return to the water from which they seem to have emerged. This is what gives Kumartuli its particular strength. Everything here is built to disappear, yet nothing seems provisional. The neighborhood transforms fragile matter into presence, and the daily work of its artisans into a silent theater of Bengali faith. Not far from the workshops of Kumartuli, the banks of the Hooghly extend the world of sacred images. This river, a branch of the Ganges in the vast Bengal Delta, flows through Kolkata as a presence that is both everyday and ritual. Even without witnessing the great fervor of Durga Puja, a few statues and a few gestures are enough to evoke this deep connection between creation, devotion, and sacred water. On the Ghats, the ablutions remind us that the Hooghly is not just a landscape, it remains a place of purification, passage, and memory. In Bagh Bazaar, behind a facade marked by time, the Madan Mohan Temple appears almost abandoned. Its imposing columns, silent galleries, and faded walls create a mysterious atmosphere. Founded in 1761 by the wealthy merchant Gokul Chandra Mitra, this shrine dedicated to Krishna remains an active place of worship. Amid the streets of Kolkata, it preserves traces of a vanished world, combining an aristocratic residence, a religious sanctuary, and urban memory. At the heart of Bara Bazar, one of Kolkata's busiest commercial districts, stands the Nakhoda Masjid. Two small mosques already occupied this site in the 19th century before being incorporated into a larger building. From 1926 onwards, it was extensively transformed and enlarged with funding from the Kuchi Miman merchant community. Inspired by Mughal architecture, the present mosque is the largest in Kolkata and can accommodate several thousand worshippers. Shops occupy the ground floor of the architectural complex, reflecting its close integration into the economic activity and daily life of the neighborhood. present in Bengal since the Middle Ages, Islam has profoundly shaped the region's history and culture. Under the Bengal Sultanate and later the Mughal Empire, it influenced architecture, the arts, the Bengali language, music, and culinary traditions. In Kolkata, Islam continued to develop during the British period, supported by merchants, artisans, workers, and intellectuals from across the Indian subcontinent. Even today, the city's places of worship, neighborhoods, festivals, and Muslim traditions bear witness to this living heritage and its essential role in Kolkata's cultural identity.